The fourth is another brother of mine, Sanford Gadient, who's flown his wife, Ina, and their two children here from Boca Raton to have Dr. Daoud work on his boy, as he'll tell you, and also to be here at this reception. So, Sanford, would you please come up?
That was 4 years ago in Dallas, which took place in November, and we met in the Embassy Suites. And while I'm a believer in miracles, and I'm a believer that the Lord's will is done, he had quite a formidable task in my son John. We have two now teenagers, and John was born over 3 months early, very premature, had substantial deficits in his brain and throughout his body, but with the Lord's will, not only has it turned out to be a successful story in terms of him being a bright, successful boy in school and socially playing well, but he has achieved a lot of his capacity. He has been, since we virtually brought him home from the hospital, he had plastic braces that fit beneath his feet and came up above his knees. And he had night braces, which even went beyond his knees, that to keep him from toe walking, because as a result of the brain injuries, it was sending signals to those muscles or his legs. When we saw Doctor in Dallas, he said, away with those braces. He doesn't need them, day braces, night braces, any braces. He said, don't even think about letting anyone talk to you about an operation. He doesn't need an operation. We're just going to stimulate his legs and work on his muscles. And he treated him for maybe as much as 2 or 3, sometimes 4 hours a day for a week 4 years ago, and the result of that was absolutely remarkable. He could walk with much more fluidity. He could keep his feet flat on the ground. He wasn't pulling up on the balls of his feet. And it was just a remarkable experience. We believe truly a miracle through the instrument of Dr. Daoud from our Creator. By plan, I brought an 86-year-old woman with me who had been a longtime social friend of mine in Kansas City before we all moved to Florida to see Dr. Daoud, because she was a believer in miracles, and she had lower back problems as well as hearing problems. Spending just several hours with her, he eliminated substantially all of the lower back pain, and for the first time in 40 years, she could hear without a hearing aid in one of her ears. Those would just be 2 examples. The third, which happened again, we had good friends in Dallas. We called them to come over to the hotel and meet with us. And while we were there, this is something I wasn't even all that familiar with. It so happens that this young lady, who was 40, had had severe rheumatoid arthritis. Her mother had had it, her grandmother had had it. She was convinced that she was destined to have this pain all of her life. She'd had it since she was 28. She was then 40. The doctor spent not more than an hour with her 2 days in a row, and the result was that within 4 or 5 days, all of the redness in her joints and swelling left, and I have a note that she wrote me at the end 2 or 3 months after that, where she said, for the first time in over 12 years, I've been without constant pain, and the arthritis is absolutely absent. So that those would just be some examples which I witnessed in Dallas.